Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to episode one of Inside the Numbers. I'm Hunter Aschenbrenner. I'm joined by Jake Auerbach. And today, in episode one, we're going to be talking about the start of the NFL league year and a couple other things across the sports world so far. So, how about we get into it? So, your favorite team, the New York Giants, have been active to start free agency. And why don't we talk about that to get going here?
First things, from the start of the offseason, actually before the offseason, they hired John Harbaugh. That seemed like a match made in heaven. And, he's just the CEO of the team at this point. He is making all the moves. He's bringing in a lot of his guys from the Ravens. Joe Shane has almost been pushed to the side a little bit. He's still a GM. He's still making moves, obviously. But, Harbaugh is the man here. He brings in four of his Ravens guys on day 1 and 2 of free agency in Pat Ricard, Isaiah Likely, Jordan Stout, and Darius Washington. And he's just I love the fit with all four of them. To be honest, just bringing in Harbaugh guys, keeping those guys in his system, and all four are at pretty big needs, filling pretty big holes with the Giants.
Yeah, you mentioned Joe Shane, and I think the dynamic between John Harbaugh and him, and overall the organization with Joe Shane, is going to be very interesting coming up. We know John Mara is sick right now. Prayers up to him. Hopefully, he's doing better. But Joe Shane, he's the GM, and we know he's had his fair share of bad moves, and it was really a shock that he kept his job after Brian Daboll was fired, and now he's the offensive coordinator with the Tennessee Titans. We'll talk about them later. Don't worry. But Joe Shane, he's really been pushed to the side as just like a scout, and it's the John Harbaugh show. And Donna Ponte got brought in. That's a big thing that I feel like most people aren't looking at as much, and she's going to have a huge role in the front office and bringing in people. We heard the other day Connor Hughes of SNY said that when they're looking at Wyatt Teller as they're looking to upgrade the offensive line, there's about a $2 million difference, and I'm sure that is where Donna Ponte is really involved in with the finances and everything. So that's I feel like the biggest storyline regarding the personnel and everything else. It's really pushed to the side, but the dynamic with the front office and the coaching staff is huge here.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you said. Donna Ponte is having a huge role. When she was hired, a lot of people were like, "All right, she's a boss, but she's not going to be kind of a huge part." But she's right up there with Joe Shane and making these moves and up the hierarchy of the Giants front office. She's a crucial part, and it's Harbaugh's team, and you can see that. So
Yeah,
I'm
I mean
excited to see it.
when you bring in a head coach at the caliber of John Harbaugh, he's won that Super Bowl years ago with Joe Flacco and the Ravens. Never got over the hump with Lamar Jackson, but we know he's in the top echelon of head coaches with Andy Reid and Sean McVay and all those CEO guys that are just leaders and they rule their teams. But let's talk about the your favorite Giants free agent move. I think mine has got to be Isaiah Likely. I love the fit overall with the way he's going to fit with Dart and his ability to grow. He's still very young. So, what's your favorite move? And if it Isaiah Likely, just expand on that.
Yeah, it might just be Isaiah Likely. The contract isn't too bad. Yeah, I think he's the fourth or fifth highest paid tight end in the league. He's still only what 25, 26 years old, very young. He's never really had that chance as the tight end one in his group because he's always been behind Mark Andrews, who's been one of the best tight ends in the league. But Likely has shown that he can be this really, really good tight end, and the Giants are banking on that upside. You watch some of his better plays, and it's all downfield. It's when Lamar Jackson is struggling, he's under pressure, he's out of structure, rolling out to the side, getting out of the pocket, and breaking some of these sacks. And that's what you see out of Jackson Dart a lot. He excels out of the pocket and likely is able to make plays downfield. He's able to find open space downfield when Lamar was under pressure and really struggling to find someone. It was likely. His go to guy was likely when he was in that scenario. And Dart often finds himself in those scenarios. You know, um, Giants receiving core last year was terrible after Neighbors went down. Wandell's just a slot guy, but um, I mean, Likely is just really going to mesh well with Jackson Dart. I'm very excited to see those guys.
Yeah, I mean, you think about the last offensive play of the season for the Ravens before Tyler Loop missed that kick. It was fourth down, game on the line. Lamar Jackson dropped back, and who'd he go to? Isaiah Likely with that jump ball, and Likely hauled it in. And he's more of a slot receiver than a tight end, and he's a playmaker. He's just gonna make plays. And he's not the greatest blocker in the world, but when you need him to make a catch down the field and just find that soft spot, he's going to. And
Yeah, I
that's
mean,
just absolutely huge for the dynamic of this offense.
I agree with you. I mean, Likely isn't really much of a tight end, if I'm being honest. He's more of a slot receiver in a tight end's body.
Yeah.
He's a great athlete, great body. He's not the best blocker, like you said, which kind of makes me feel like he's more fit to be a receiver. But,
He's got the size of a tight end.
Exactly. Yeah, he's in the tight end's body, but he's got that athleticism, hands, and ability to make plays after the catch. That ability to the receiver. I mean, he's going to be. I have a feeling he's going to be awesome with the Giants. So I think he's my favorite signing.
I think another move that I absolutely love by the Giants so far this free agency was getting Tremaine Edmonds from the Bears, that linebacker who we heard some rumors before that when he was in trade rumors that the Giants were going to look to trade for him, but then he ended up getting released by the Bears and they signed him on a 3-year deal. He's still young and one of the most rangy and best linebackers in football. And after they cut ties with Bobby Okereke, he's going to replace that production and even more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they had interest in him 3 years ago when he was leaving Buffalo, and it was between us and the Giants and the Bears. He ended up choosing the Bears, and then we ended up signing Okereke right after. But, I mean, now we have Edmonds, got rid of Okereke, but, I mean, Edmonds might have had his best season of his career last year. This is going to be his 8th year in the league, believe it or not, but he's still only 27 years old right now. So it's it's a crazy dynamic if you think about it there. But I mean, he's a monster. He's a tackle machine. He's solid in coverage. He's not really a coverage linebacker, but he's solid. He got a lot of picks last year. And he's going to be the leader of the defense this year. We got the ferocious pass rush group, but I mean, the run stopping was god awful last year, and Edmonds is going to be a huge piece to overturn that. And I mean, pair him with someone like Sonny Styles at number 5. I mean,
we'll get into that.
See what happens there, but I mean,
we know that John Harbaugh he's a special teams coach, but we know he values on his teams elite linebackers and elite safeties, and there's 2 prospects in the NFL draft as they sit at number 5. Both from Ohio State one's an elite linebacker and one is an elite safety. Of course, Sonny Styles, who had maybe the greatest combine performance that we've ever seen, and Caleb Downs, who is one of the most pro-ready safeties ever. And I'm not really sure how much better he's going to get, but that's not something bad against him. He's just that good already. He started as a freshman for Nick Saban, and that says a lot.
Yeah, I mean, if you plug Caleb Downs right into the NFL right now without even going into the offseason programs and all that stuff, I mean, he might be a top 5 safety in the league already. That's just how pure talented he is. He is just that good at football. But the main concern there is the positional value at number 5.
Yeah.
How often do you really see safeties going at number 5? That's the only issue. But I mean, take out positional value. It's just straight football players. He very well could be the best player in this draft.
Yeah, when I look at the 2 players that I think have the highest potential to be all pros in this league, and that's always what you're looking for early in the draft, it's Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs. But obviously, when do you take a linebacker and a safety that high in the draft?
I would throw Jeremiah Love into that mix.
He's up there too, but I feel like linebackers and safeties are more on that than running backs. Jeremiah Love's going to be an absolute beast, and I think there's a very high chance that he goes to Brian Daboll and Robert Saleh in Tennessee at number 4.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see them going edge rusher, maybe David Bailey, Ruben Bain, one of those guys. I could see them taking Styles potentially. We'll see what happens with Downs. I mean, a safety at 4 would be nuts, but I
It
mean,
would.
I could see it honestly.
And the funny thing about the Titans so far, they've been adding up on former Giants and former Jets, really just colliding two teams that over the last couple of years haven't had much success. We know Brian Daboll's the offensive coordinator. Robert Saleh is going to be the head coach, and the quarterback Cam Ward out of Miami, who we both love. Brian Dable loved him too. He wanted to try and come up and get him at number 1 before coming back into the end of round 1 to get Jackson Dart last year.
Yeah, I mean, Brian Dable and Joe Shane last year were on the phones with the Titans and Mike Borgonzi, trying to just convince them to not take Cam Ward after they said they're not trading the first pick. But I mean, I think Cam Ward is just so talented, and he's just a special player. If you watch him, you know the Titans' receiving core this year, it was nothing. He had nothing with him.
Yeah,
I think he's going to be. I think he could be a Super Bowl winning quarterback in the future because of the leadership he brings to the locker room, the mentality he has to just be awesome. I think he will be one day because the pure talent he has and the mindset he has. I mean, Brian Dable has a lot of success with quarterbacks, so I'm interested to see them two go together. I think Wan'Dale Robinson is a perfect fit in Tennessee with someone like Cam Ward. Gonna miss him in New York with the Giants. I mean, him and Dart were playing great this year, but that seemed like it was always happening. Once Dable was hired in Tennessee, it always seemed like Wan'Dale was gonna end up following him.
Yeah, and it was not just Wan'Dale Robinson that went and joined over there. Daniel Bellinger, also a backup tight end for the Giants last year, went and joined Dable as well. And then they basically loaded up the defensive front with former New York Jets. You know, Tanzel Smart, who was a former defensive tackle for the Jets, is now an assistant defensive coach for them. They got John Franklin Myers. Of course, they traded for Jermaine Johnson in exchange for T'Vondre Sweat, who is going to play a huge role on the Jets this season. We'll get into that. And they just loaded up. You know, they traded for Solomon Thomas last night, John Franklin Myers, of course, Jacob Martin they signed today, and Saleh. We know Saleh loves his guys, and he's a heck of a defensive coach, and he's going to be able to coach that unit up a lot and get them turned around quicker than most people realize.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see Tennessee this year.
Especially if you add in Jeremiah Love, as dynamic as he projects to be at number 4 overall.
Yeah, I think an offensive trio of Jeremiah Love, Cam Ward, and Wan'Dale Robinson could be a really sneaky team. I mean, Dable. Yeah. I think Dable is going to be a very good offensive coordinator. I'm not sure how he is as a head coach and just as a game manager in general. I'm not.
Yeah,
really
he's
sure
a QB guru. He played a huge part in having Josh Allen become the player he is today, and obviously Jackson Dart, who had an outstanding rookie year out of Ole Miss. Just Brian Dable wanted him, and we saw the behind the scenes in the front office during draft day last year. That it wasn't Shane's guy; it was Dable's guy. You know, Shane might have been more in favor of Shedeur Sanders.
Yep. Oh my God.
And that
they're at 25 and
worked out a lot better for the Giants.
If Dart ended up elsewhere and the Giants took Shedeur at 25.
I don't know if Joe Shane has a job right now. And it's the funny thing is that Joe Shane had his job saved by Brian Dable, basically, by getting Jackson Dart. And then John Harbaugh ended up coming to the Giants solely, or not solely, but mainly because of Jackson Dart and the potential that he put on tape last year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I think Harbaugh who wouldn't want the opportunity to work with a guy like Dart? I mean, he's all the talent in the world, and that mentality and want to win mentality. I mean, who wouldn't want to coach a guy like that who's only 23 years old, just put on a great rookie season with not a lot around him? I think the Giants are going to be fun this year.
Yeah, and they added a ton of offensive coaches with a lot of experience with Brian Callahan, Matt Nagy, and Greg Roman joined the staff. They're going to have – that's a lot of experience who they've worked as offensive coordinators, but have also been fired at multiple points. But Jackson Dart, the main two things is getting him to play more in structure, even though he excels out of structure, and then avoiding those big hits. He plays like Josh Allen, even though he doesn't have half the size that Josh Allen has.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Allen's about 3 inches taller.
Yeah,
He's stronger. He probably weighs around 30 or 40 pounds
yeah.
more than Dart does. I mean, Dart can't take these hits like Allen does. I mean, even
Or
Allen.
else,
I
yeah, we
mean,
saw last year he got the concussion and had to go to the medical tent multiple times. If he keeps getting those hits over time, it's just not going to work out for the longevity of his career.
yeah, I mean, it's just not going to work. But I mean, I do think he was a rookie quarterback last year. I mean, the coaching situation was just god awful. I mean, people were getting fired left and right, demoted left and right, and it was just a new coaching staff every week. It seemed like for who was in charge of the team. I mean, that's just not going to work for a rookie quarterback if you're trying to develop him. So I do think this year with more structure, I mean, Harbaugh's not going anywhere after year one.
Yeah,
Um, I do think more structure this year in the coaching staff will help him kind of learn how to slide a little bit, which I think will be very huge and a big part of his success long term if he wants to be a Pro Bowl quarterback in this league.
yeah. And now let's talk about a head coach that might be losing his job after this year if it does not go well, and that is, of course, Aaron Glenn with the New York Jets, who I sadly support. But
Well, if he
I
doesn't
gotta
sleep during the
say,
combine, then you guys might draft a good player. So
well, the good thing is that they have not been asleep during the early portion of free agency.
no.
They have had a ton of money to spend, and Darren Muji and Aaron Glenn have had, I think, a very good offseason during the circumstances. They brought back old friend Geno Smith, and Geno, I mean, he was probably the best of the options. Kyler Murray is going to the Vikings, it sounds like, by all reports. Kirk Cousins, he didn't want to come here, and they didn't really have interest in him anyway. And Kirk Cousins really, I mean, he hasn't played outside of a dome as his home stadium in years since his Washington Redskins days.
Washington.
So I think Geno Smith being that quarterback you hope, just 12 months ago, people were talking about Geno Smith as a top 15 to 20 quarterback in this league after 4,000-yard passing in Seattle. He revived his career there, and now the Jets are hoping at 35 that he can be closer to that than he was as the disaster in Las Vegas this year with everything around him. We talked about how Tennessee's situation was terrible. I think that Las Vegas was just as bad, besides Brock Bowers, who was hurt most of the season. Offensive line was bad. Coaching was bad. Receivers were bad.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Um, Geno Smith was a disaster.
Yeah,
Absolute
everything was in
disaster
Vegas.
in Vegas last year. But even 2024 in Seattle, he was solid, but he wasn't great. That's why they
Yeah.
traded him. But if he can get back to that 2023 form, I mean, people were arguing that he's a top 10 quarterback in the league that
Yeah.
year.
And you're just trying, if you're the Jets, Muji and Glenn, more Glenn. I feel Muji, who has, I mean, coming into this, I felt that Aaron Glenn was more likely to succeed than Darren Muji was. Muji was more of a wild card. He's younger. He's coming from Denver, who's a great organization. But Aaron Glenn, he's got to save his job this year, and getting a quarterback who can maybe win 7 to 9 games if all goes well is going to do wonders for him as they try and bridge the gap to the next year's draft class.
Yeah, I mean, next year's draft class, you can make the debate that there's like 7 or 8 quarterbacks who can go in the first round. I mean, we'll see who emerges as
Yeah,
1,
besides
2,
the
and 3.
guys who are obviously being talked about now with Manning, Moore, Sayin, there's going to be more that are talked about a year from now. Fernando Mendoza, who I wish was coming to the Jets, he was not even in the discussion last year to win the Heisman or even be the number 1 overall pick. They were talking about Drew Aller, who I'm interested in later in the draft, or Garrett Nussmeier, Cade Klubnik, those types of guys.
Yeah, Arch also.
Yeah,
But
I think Arch Manning, if he came out, it was a bit of an up and down season, but if he came out of this year's draft, I think he's going to Las Vegas.
I think I
I
That's the
think
pick he
it
has,
just
but
comes down to is Clint Kubiak would Clint Kubiak bet on a Manning?
yeah,
I think there's a good chance about that.
I think there's a good chance. I mean, Mendoza's a good prospect, but I do
He's one of
think
the most
Archibald is
pro-ready
more.
quarterbacks we've seen in a while.
Yeah, I think
He,
the biggest question with Mendoza is his ceiling. I can't
yeah, I
I
mean,
just
how
can't see
much?
Mendoza
Yeah,
being a
could
top five quarterback really. But I
because
could see
he's
Arch being
not.
the best in the league in a couple years, honestly.
Yeah, Mendoza isn't as mobile. I mean, we obviously saw in the national championship that unbelievable play to beat the Hurricanes. Um, but he's not going to move as much. I think it's more than Jared Goff that people give him credit for. But he's not going to be Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen out there.
No, definitely not. But I
But
mean, going back to what you said about the first overall pick, I mean Mendoza was projected to be a what fifth or sixth round pick,
yeah,
somewhere under
transferring
three.
from Cal to play with
And
come play with Signetti.
and the
It's,
year before that, Cam Ward. I mean, he transferred from
yeah,
Washington State. He first declared for the draft. He was going to be a sixth round pick, maybe, if he was even drafted, and then ended up transferring to Miami and putting on a Heisman level season. Was a candidate. Came to New York and was the first overall pick. So that's 2 straight years where two guys have came fully out of the radar and just burst onto the scene, became the first overall pick, Heisman candidates, one of them winning it in Mendoza. So, I mean, we'll see what happens this year in the draft. I mean, you said before Dante Moore, saying Archer Manning are these guys, but I could see a lot of other guys getting in this debate. I mean, I'm super
yeah.
high on Jaden Mayava. I'm super high on Darian Mensah. We'll see what happens with those guys. But
It's Drew Mestamaker is one of my favorite prospects. He obviously wasn't at a big program with North Texas last year, and he's now going to be at Oklahoma State. We will see if he performs to the amount that he did last year, and if he doesn't, then he'll stay another year in college.
yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. But it's gonna be interesting. I mean, the Jets are gonna take a quarterback next year. They have to. It feels like.
Yeah,
Um, there's
but
plenty of options.
now let's transfer to the Jets. Aaron Glenn's going to be calling the defense. They opted for that. There was some rumors with Wink Martindale that ended up falling out, and I'm pretty glad about that. I think it would have turned into a disaster. But Aaron Glenn is going to be calling the defense, and he had to get talent on this defense. At the end of the season, it was an absolute disaster, and they would start almost every game down 21-0. It was just terrible to watch. And coming in with all that cap space and draft capital cleared from the Sauce Gardner trade, where Darren Muji, maybe his best move so far, with getting those 2 first-round picks, that is number 16 this year and projects to be around that next year. And then Adonai Mitchell, who's going to be, you hope, the wide receiver 3. And he's a solid number 2 if you cannot come out with trading for Brian Thomas or drafting a Mekhi Lemon at number 16. But that was just an unbelievable move by Muji. And now they come in to this free agency. They had a ton of cap space, and they traded for Minkah Fitzpatrick for a 7th-round pick. Was just an awesome move. They got 2 rotational edge rushers. David Onyemata at defensive line, who's going to play with Tavondre Sweat as another addition on this defense. But Demario Davis was one of my favorite moves they made. He's 37, so he's definitely in his last couple years. But Demario is still on that upper echelon of linebackers, and he is one of the best leaders you'll find across the entire NFL. He's been in New York twice, and it was really devastating when they let him go years ago.
I mean, Tamari Davis is just a machine. He's 37 and still going.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he's still in that upper echelon of elite linebackers. I mean, he's just a machine out there. Like, you watch him play, he's just making plays. And
Yeah.
You watch the Saints defense, and you don't go a play without noticing Mario Davis last season, even at the age he's at, which is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an A-plus signing for the Jets, in my opinion. My favorite signing, personally, of the Jets, Nashawn Wright. I mean,
that was just awesome.
At 1 year, what was it, $5 million?
It was 3.5 guaranteed, and he can get up to 5. And we were talking, he can maybe get up to 15 was what he was expected per year coming into the offseason. And everyone knows the Jets did not have an interception last year, which was just extremely embarrassing. And for a head coach who was an all-pro corner, he didn't feel good about that.
I
So
mean,
they went out and got a turnover machine. Nashawn Wright playing with the Bears, who were one of the best defensives in terms of providing turnovers last year. He had 5 interceptions, tied for the most among corners. He forced 2 more fumbles and then recovered 3 more, and that is exactly what this defense needs to turn it around.
yeah, I mean, we'll see how the play translates to the Jets. Who knows if he was a product of the system in Chicago that just forced a historic amount of turnovers, basically. I
Yeah,
mean, but we'll see how the play translates. But I mean, it's a low risk, high reward signing at
a
this
thousand
point. I mean,
percent.
it,
And
it,
now with those
it's 1 year for
signings,
$5 million.
yeah,
He provides that turnover ability that the Jets needed all of last season. But
yeah.
we'll see how it translates. I'm excited
And
to see
they
him on the Jets.
they needed playmakers on both sides of the ball. They've added on defense already with Demario Davis, Nashawn Wright, Minka Fitzpatrick is one of the best ball hawks in the entire NFL. Dane Belton, another guy that people aren't talking about as much. The ball finds him, and he's not going to be a starting safety. He's probably going to be your third guy. Maybe Malachi Moore is number 2. They compete. Maybe we'll see if they draft someone. They have 4 top 45 picks, and just loading up that defense, I think at least 2 of those picks are going to be on that side of the ball, is going to be huge in turning that defense back to elite from a couple years ago.
Yeah, I mean, going back to Dane Belton, watching him on the Giants for 4 years, he was actually a very underrated player. Very, very, very good special teams player. That's something to watch. I mean, he's always making plays on special teams. The most memorable play I can think of right now, this season versus Denver, they were up by 7 going into the half, I believe. And last play of the half, Knicks threw it to the goal line. Cortland Sutton caught it. Sure to be a touchdown. Nope. Dane Belton comes out of nowhere, nails Cortland Sutton at the
Yeah.
goal line. Huge hit. I mean, that's what Belton brings. He's a hard hitting safety. He finds the ball in the air. Um, Elite special teamer. I think that's a really underrated signing for the Jets, honestly.
Yeah, and the Jets still have 10 picks in this draft. I mentioned the 4 in the top 45, which we know number 2 is very likely to be on defense. The heavy favorite is Arvell Reese, who I am very excited about coming into this defense. I think Carl Dunbar, the defensive line coach, came over from Mike Tomlin's staff in Pittsburgh, is going to play a huge role in that. And Arvell Reese, now that you got those 2 edge rushers that you signed to not very expensive deals, along with Will McDonald and the 4 defensive tackles you have, Arvell Reese can play a little bit edge. He can play a little bit linebacker. He can just be that piece all over your defense that just flies around and make plays with his absurd strength and speed combo.
Yeah, I mean, you know my opinions on Reese. We're not gonna get too into that, but we'll see how he translates into the NFL.
I think you're looking at Reese, and you could see it going both ways. You could see him not being able to translate to edge and him just being a very good linebacker,
That's how I
which
see it.
that
Flat out.
wouldn't be great for number 2, but you're still getting a good pick, a good player. But then you could also envision him turning into Micah Parsons. Parsons was used in the same way at Penn State, not on the line, just playing free in the middle of that defense, going after the quarterback, just finding the ball and attacking with that speed and strength. And that's the hope for Reese down the line. He's only 20 years old, and he's not going to turn 21 until the 3rd week of the preseason, which is just unbelievable.
Yeah, I don't think he's a bad player by any means. I just don't think the value at number 2 is there because I don't love him as an edge rusher. So if you're
Yeah.
taking him as a pure linebacker, at that point, I would take Sonny Styles at 2 over Reese because I think he's a better pure linebacker than Reese. So
Yeah, I
I
just
think
think
you're banking on the upside and the versatility with Reese.
moving to edge rusher and being a game changer there.
Yeah, I
But
mean it's very
I
similar
wouldn't.
to Parsons and Abdul Carter, who
Yeah,
I mean we'll see what happens with Abdul after a up and down rookie year, a lot of
ended the year
off-field
very
issues.
strong.
I mean, ended the year very strong once Shane Bowen got fired. He got sacks in like 4 straight games, forced a fumble. I mean, he was just a monster of the run game as well. Once Shane Bowen got fired and Charlie Bowen took over at defense coordinator, Abdul Carter became a monster. So I'm super, super, super excited to see him next season. And I could see Reese being someone like that. Carter played off-ball linebacker his whole career, and then only moved to edge rusher his last season at Penn State,
And he was
and
unreal.
he was unbelievable at edge. So we'll
And
see
I
what
wouldn't
happens.
I wouldn't rule out Darren Muji trading one of these picks. That's maybe his best attribute that we've seen so far. They got Jarvis Brownlee Jr. from Tennessee for a late round pick. They just got Minka Fitzpatrick. Jawan Briggs was an awesome trade. Harrison Phillips has been a leader for them. They got Adonai Mitchell. John Mechie was traded for at the deadline, then they let walk to Carolina. And I would not rule out Brian Thomas Jr., who I know the Giants are after as well. They need that wide receiver next to Garrett Wilson. And if Geno Smith's going to be productive, he needs an offensive line, which they have with Dylan Parham signing along with the 4 starters in place. And those receivers that he had in Seattle with Lockett and JSN and Metcalf, they were awesome for him.
Yeah, I mean, Darren Muji's kind of just a wizard at this point with the trades. I would be shocked if he trades out of 2 now. I mean,
I don't think so
I
at
can't
that.
see them trading out of 2. We'll see what happens at 16. That's an interesting spot. It might be. I mean, if they want a guy like Ty Simpson, he might go at number 11 to the Dolphins.
Yeah.
So maybe they make a move up there, or if they're getting the feel that he's going to go late in the first round, in the 20s, they might move down and try to get him there and keep collecting picks. So
Yeah, I think that's enough New York football talk. Let's get into something else. Now let's move to maybe the most shocking sports story that we have ever seen. Max Crosby we saw sent to the Baltimore Ravens last week, and it was really shocking that the Raiders traded him, but it wasn't, we kind of saw it coming. They got 2 first-round picks. It was awesome value. And then later in the week, this came out. The Raiders posted it. The Ravens backed out due to the physical. And there's questions that come up. Why? How bad was his knee really? He had meniscus surgery at the end of the season. But the Raiders placed him on IR when they were tanking, and it was really questionable. He thought he could play. And now it was that bad that they had to back out of a trade, which was just absolutely stunning.
yeah, I mean, this might be the most shocking and crazy move I've ever seen, honestly. Him getting traded in the first place, I wouldn't say it was expected, but there was heavy, heavy, heavy rumors about it. And the Ravens were always one of the teams involved. Cowboys, Eagles were both in the mix. And the Ravens ended up sending pick 14 and the next year first round pick. They agreed to the deal at least. And I mean, that was a shocking trade. It was a win-win for both sides. The Ravens really needed that edge rusher. Their pass rush last year was just atrocious, and their defense last year in general was just not good. And
because they could not hold up when Lamar was hurt. And that's the reason. It came down to obviously Tyler Lute missing the kick, but that team was good enough where it should have made the playoffs and been able to hold steady. I mean, Tyler Huntley was a pretty good quarterback, and that defense was not great. And it really raises questions. Did they just not want to give up the 2 first-round picks because they immediately pivoted and signed Trey Hendrickson to a 4-year contract? So was it really on the knee, or did they just want to save those 2 picks and still get an elite pass rusher? I think Max Crosby is in a different tier, but Trey Hendrickson is pretty good.
Yeah, if I was to tier NFL edge rushers right now, I think Crosby would probably be in tier 1, and Hendrickson probably tier 2. I don't think they're at the same level, but it's not like Hendrickson's a bad player at all. I think Crosby's just that good. But I feel like they probably heard something within sources and people that they talk to around the league and talking to Hendrickson.
Yeah.
That Hendrickson has interest in being a Raven, and he would probably sign if you offer him. So I think there was something going on. I mean, to get 2 first-round picks and Hendrickson back and just give away Crosby, I think something definitely could have went on. I don't know if it's likely that it did, but I'm interested to see if this whole thing unfolds and things come out of this.
The interesting question is, I mean, Max Crosby's now back on the Raiders, and you don't really see when a player posts he did an entire 12-minute thank you video to the fans and a goodbye as he began to start his new chapter. And you don't really see that player go back to that team after. It's usually when you trade them, It's over. I mean, last year I remember in the NBA there was the Dalton Connect trade with the Lakers for
Yeah.
Mark Williams, and the relationship was just shattered after that didn't go through, and it still is to this day.
Yeah, I believe Connect is in the G League.
They haven't been able to pair together again.
Yeah.
It's so I wonder, are they going to be able to flip Crosby again? And if they do, with John Spytek, is he going to even be able to get? He's not going to be able to get 2 first-round picks again
No
with
chance.
that level of concern from at least one organization on that knee.
I think they would take what, one first maybe.
A first and a day
If
three.
they,
I mean, that's
yeah.
like
If they can get a first, I wouldn't be surprised if they don't get
yeah.
any
I mean,
offers
I
for a
would think
first.
they
I mean,
just try and hold on to him there. We know Max
at this
Crosby
point,
does love the Raiders organization, though.
yeah, I mean, he's been posting. I mean, very
He
good.
was ready to move on though. And another thing is they went crazy in free agency, signing Tyler Linderbaum, Nakobe Dean, a lot
They
of
were getting off
players.
that contract.
Yeah, and they opened up a ton of cap with that to try and support likely first overall pick Fernando Mendoza. So how is that gonna like affect them? And I think they still have enough money with Crosby, but they went down 30 million with that cap coming back on their books.
Yeah, I mean, the money isn't the concern there because I mean, if they're thinking about it, they just acquired an all-pro pass rusher.
Yeah,
But I mean, they still have enough money where they can still go out and spend a little bit. That's just
yeah,
how much money they had this offseason. I mean, they were spending like animals. I mean, this defense might be really good next year. I mean, the Kobe Dean's a good, really good athlete. I mean, he's been solid with the Eagles throughout his career, but um, they have top draft picks. You know, it's gonna be Mendoza #1. But I mean, we'll see what happens down the board of the draft. But I would speculate that they take a lot of defensive players. They can
yeah.
still go out and sign some guys. You know.
I think a guy to watch for them in the second round, if he makes it there, is Omar Cooper. And later in the on day two, Elijah Surratt. We know Mendoza had an outstanding connection with both of those guys on Indiana in their route to the national championship. You know, Cooper definitely. I mean, he's been rising through the um, pre-draft like process, and he's very good, and he's wide receiver 4, but for a lot of people behind obviously Tate, Lemon, and Tyson.
Yeah, I mean, even during the national championship, he was viewed as what, third round pick, and
Yeah,
now I mean, just the combine. I mean, what people are expecting from his pro day, just all of this stuff going on. I mean, people are
yeah,
just he's rising up everyone's boards. Like you never ever ever see a mock where he's not taken in the second round or the first round.
yeah.
But
Even the
like
late first round.
you'll never see him in the third round in a mock.
Nope.
Which I mean, going into the season, even not even going into the season, but towards in the playoffs, he was projected third or fourth round pick. I mean,
Yeah.
it's crazy
Before
how much
Now,
stock has gone
before
up.
we transition out of the NFL and the start of the league year, I want to talk about the our favorite moves and our most surprising moves. I mean, what is your favorite move that has happened so far in the last week or so?
I would say my favorite move in terms of fit, contract, and just how good the player is has got to be Devin Lloyd. I mean, he got 3 years, 45 million from Carolina. I mean, that's just an unreal contract.
Yeah,
I
for an
mean,
all-pro
he was
linebacker,
an
you
All
just
Pro
don't see
linebacker
that.
last year. He got $15 million a year, and he's what, 25 years old.
Yeah,
You
he's up.
never see that.
He's unbelievable.
I
I
think
think.
that fit is just perfect. I mean, Carolina really just needed a defensive playmaker. You know, they have J.C. Horn, Derek Brown. They actually just signed Jalen Phillips as well, which is
Yeah,
just an unreal
and
pairing to sign. But Devin Lloyd is just a fantastic player to add this defense, and he's not expensive at all. That's just
Yeah,
really
I think
exciting.
adding Devin Lloyd for only 15 million a year kind of makes up for. I mean, Jalen Phillips, he's a very good player, but they paid him 30 million a year.
Yeah,
I think, kind of makes up for again those two players for 45 million total per year. That you'd take that
that's a
any day.
steal. That's a
Yeah.
steal. I mean, those are two Pro Bowl level. I mean, Lloyd was just an All Pro, second team All
Hmm.
Pro, and Phillips he's never had the chance to be the premier edge on his team. Well, in Miami he was, but he battled injuries in Miami, and then Eagles last season, he might have been the best edge rusher on their team, but they were
Yeah,
just
he
so
was
loaded on the
solid.
front
Yeah.
seven. But I mean, I think he's really gonna just take off in Carolina. Derek Brown at the middle. I think this Panthers team actually could be really, really good.
Yeah, it depends. They'll go as far as Bryce Young will take them, and he was solid last year. And they lost in the playoffs in that game versus the Rams.
I mean,
But
they were 40 seconds
yeah,
away from
right
winning
there
that game,
with
beating the
Jalen Coker.
Rams.
Yeah,
We'll see what
who
happens, but I
yeah
think they're a
Jalen.
really good young team.
Yeah, I think my favorite move was probably Kenneth Walker heading down to Kansas City to play with Patrick Mahomes. And going into this offseason, it kind of looked like, and everyone thought that sitting at number 9, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, they were going to go and add Jeremiah Love. But as we've gotten further in this offseason, Jeremiah Love is definitely not going to be there at 9. So Andy Reid had to go and get a running back, and they get Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker. And he probably paid him more than he's worth, but getting a dynamic player with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce's back for another year, it's going to open up that offense even more with Matt Nagy being gone, and they bring back Eric Bieniemy as the offensive coordinator from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think this Chiefs team will pick it up. I mean, last season was a disaster. I mean, injuries were killing them.
They couldn't win down the line as they
Yeah.
were able to in years past, and now it's really gonna see. Mahomes is probably expected to come back in the first quarter of the year, and is he still Patrick Mahomes? I would assume yes. I mean, the ACL. I
I'd
mean,
be shocked if he's
most players come back fine from it, but is he still going to be able to do the crazy Patrick Mahomes things that we see year in and year out?
Definitely not in the first couple of weeks. It'll be a curve, kind of a learning curve. But there's no chance that he doesn't get back to Mahomes' form after a couple of games. I mean,
he's Patrick Mahomes. He's
too good.
unbelievable. He's the best quarterback in the National Football League, and he's the golden standard throughout this generation.
Yep.
So now let's phase out of the NFL, and let's get into the tournament that is taking place in various parts of the world right now, the World Baseball Classic. So in spring training before this upcoming MLB the year, they are running the 20th World Baseball Classic, and the quarterfinals are starting tomorrow night. What have your thoughts been so far throughout the WBC? It has been electrifying, and last night was unreal. Team USA, who we're both rooting for, they were in a bit of a tough situation with Nolan McLean struggling the night before, losing versus Italy. Italy then had to beat Mexico, or
Didn't bring
Mexico
up Aaron Judge striking out, right?
Of course not.
Nope.
And Mexico had to score at least 5 runs. Luckily for USA, Italy scored 7. And now they are into the into the quarterfinals, where they're going to look to advance even more.
Yeah, I mean, one word to describe it is just electric. The crowds are ridiculous for baseball,
especially with the Dominican Republic.
Oh, that team is just so fun to watch. I mean,
it is.
I think they've hit 12 homers in 4 games.
And every single one is just an absolute party.
You see the players looking back at the dugout.
It's unreal.
Crazy. I mean, the Tatis bat flip last night was electric. Soto hitting the home run, looking back at the dugout and going nuts. Caminero, same thing. Caminero's he's an animal, but
and it's amazing to see how it's the middle of March, and every single time a ball goes over the fence, those guys are running around the bases and celebrating, and they care so much about their country. That is just, it's amazing to watch, as we're not going to get postseason baseball until October.
Yeah. The Dominican is just fun to watch, but
and now
to the U.S. It's been weird.
They haven't gotten going with that offense that we've seen. The 5-run inning versus Mexico was electric, with Roman Anthony and Aaron Judge hitting those home runs, and Bobby Witt playing outstanding defense. But the Dominican is just scoring left and right, and the United States. You look at that lineup: Bobby Witt, Bryce Harper, Aaron Judge. Those are the top hitters in baseball, and they haven't been able to catch fire. But a big difference between the U.S. and the in DR is the pitching. If both teams win their quarterfinal game like they're expected to, they're going to face off in the semifinal, and it is going to be Paul Skeens on the mound for the United States.
Yeah, I mean, Skeens facing that Dominican lineup is going to be super interesting. Do you know who the Dominican pitcher would be that game?
I'm not sure, but their lineup they win games based off their lineup, not their pitching.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean,
And
I think
we know the three teams in this tournament that everyone's expecting. It's the Dominican Republic, it's the United States, and then it's Team Japan.
Yeah, I mean, those are going to be the three finalists.
And I mean, I think the biggest story besides the actual play was Mark DeRosa yesterday. It was or 2 days ago, but he was. I mean, I don't know how you can be the manager of of the United States in this tournament and not know what's going on. He said on Hot Stove before their game against Italy that they already clinched, and then you saw in his lineup decisions getting Paul Goldschmidt in there, and Ryan Yarbrough pitched significant innings. Ernie Clement started. Bryce Harper was not in the lineup, which is just, I mean, like, what are we doing?
Harper wasn't playing well, but I mean, he can't be on the bench.
Yeah, I mean, it's Bryce Harper.
Paul Goldschmidt. I mean, it's ridiculous to me. It's absolutely ridiculous how
you can't know what's going on.
Like, how do you not know the rules?
Exactly. Like, you have, especially before going on live TV with the players in that locker room, you have to know. Like, come on.
He said it twice. That he said before and after the game that they already clinched. They're already in the quarterfinals. But last night very well could have went different. If Italy didn't win or didn't score 4 runs, I mean, they're out right now. The USA, who was co-favorites with Dominican, I think Dominican might have been slightly ahead of them, or Japan maybe. But those three. But I mean, the USA had a very real shot coming into this, and they still do. I have no doubt that their lineup's going to
It's just if they can catch fire, they'll be just fine.
Oh,
but
100%.
It's running out of time. Waiting on the other side, I'm pretty sure they're playing Canada tomorrow night. And if they win that, they will go against Juan Soto, Fernando Tatis, Junior Caminero, all of those guys who are ready, and they have been hitting the heck out of that baseball. It's just been unbelievable to watch.
If I'm being honest, the X factor in that game, which is it's very, very, very likely to happen. I'd be shocked if that game doesn't happen in the semis. I mean, the X factor in that game is going to be USA's lineup, in my opinion.
Yeah,
I think
because you assume that Paul Skeens.
You have Skeens facing off against that lineup. Hopefully, Skeens can limit them. It's
I'm sure he will
completely cancel them out, but it's also impossible to completely get on top of Skeens and get him out of the game early. But I think that's kind of going to stalemate. To be honest, I think they're just that good. Both sides. So I think the X factor. I'm not sure who the pitcher for Dominican is, but the X factor is going to be if USA's offense is going to be able to keep up with how Dominican their lineup is facing off against Paul Skeens.
Yeah, it's been amazing to watch. And Thursday night is an off day for the WBC. We'll see on Friday. The quarterfinals will get going, and it's going to be outstanding to watch. And it's really great. I mean, spring training is it drags on. And today, I mean, we're about 2 weeks out of opening day, and it's going to be a week when the WBC is over. And then just like that, 6 months of baseball gets going.
It's just something to watch. Like, it's for the fans also. I mean, it's obviously it's a sick experience for the players. I mean, obviously anyone on that team is. I mean, we saw what happened in the Olympics a month ago.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
with Jack Hughes.
that was just
unreal,
insane, the support that the USA had, and all the countries, to be fair. But the USA just had a ridiculous amount of support. So many new people watching hockey between. I mean, the 4 nations last year, even that didn't mean anything. It was a warm up for the Olympics, and the national support between that was ridiculous. So
players care more when it's about repping their country.
100%.
You see that a lot.
WBC,
when are you going to see Junior Caminero run around the bases like that, slamming his chest? I don't even think if the Rays made the World Series, he'd be doing that.
Yeah, I mean, no chance. It's a ridiculous. It's a ridiculous tournament. It's just fun. It's electric. It gets the players going, gets the fans going. It's just fun to watch.
Yeah, it's been amazing. So one last thing before we close out episode 1. Let's talk about the other night the Miami Heat and the Washington Wizards. Bam Adebayo, 83 points. The third most in NBA history, which is just absolutely shocking, I mean, credit to Bam. He averages 19. It's unreal how, 83. I mean, he had about 40 free throws, but greatness was greatness, and you can't take anything away from it. It's just shocking how people are going to look up in 40 years and you're going to see Wilt Chamberlain, Bam Adebayo, and then Kobe Bryant as the top three for most points in a game.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a ridiculous story. I'm not the biggest NBA fan, but I understand what's going on. I mean, Bam Adebayo, he's a very good player, but 83 points is 83 points. That's
if it was Shea or Luka, and Luka we saw get up to about 70, it wouldn't be as shocking. But Bam with 83, and it was just
it would be shocking. It's still
not as shocking as Bam.
Obviously, yeah. I mean,
and Bam, it was just that game was just funny. I mean, the Wizards, who are terrible, didn't start double teaming him until he had 70.
Yeah,
it's just like, what are we doing?
It's hard to wrap my head around it. 83 points.
It's just unreal. It's the equivalent to if some all-star, non-level, non-superstar in the MLB hit 6 homers in a game. Or, a bit of a lower... even Domingo Germán throwing that perfect game, I don't even think that's on the level of this.
No, I wouldn't. I think just a perfect game is less rare than scoring 83 points.
Exactly. That's the 24th of all time. This is the second most points ever.
But I would say Bam Adebayo is a better player in the NBA than Domingo Germán is in the
NBA.
Definitely. So I think the shock factor is probably equivalent, but I think 83 points is just knocks that out of the water. 83 points is absolutely absurd. You see a player drop 40, and you're like, wow, that's a great night. That's a great game.
Mm-hmm.
He had double that.
Yeah.
Double. That's nuts.
Just an unbelievable night for basketball, and congratulations to Bam.
That was the same night. That was the same night that Max Crosby, the trade got reversed.
That's just what a night in sports.
Yeah, that along with WBC, that was the middle of NFL free agency frenzy. That was a ridiculous night.
Yeah, I think we covered just about everything that's been going on over the last week. Thank you, everyone, for watching to this point. This has been episode 1 of Inside the Numbers. We'll be back next week. It's been Hunter Aschenbrenner and Jake Auerbach.